30 Dumbest Ways Employees Got Fired, according to Reddit. Number 30. He stole a bunch of bananas. Seriously. It was a college dining hall. He was an employee of the dining hall and got free meals while on shift. He was not working that day, walked into the serving area, hid a bunch of bananas in his bag, and tried to pass the cashier, only paying for what was on his tray. When confronted and asked if he had forgotten anything, maybe in his bag, he denied having anything else, fired on the spot. The worst part, he was on a meal plan, a kind of debit system, except you never get the money back at the end of the semester if you don't spend it. He had plenty of money for the semester. I have no idea why he felt he needed to steal bananas. Well, that's a strong start. Number 29. I'm the assistant manager, but I just have to let this story go. I hired a cashier to help with the shifts and give me days off. After about a week, the big boss and I decided that our lottery tickets were off, and one was even fucked up. It was crinkly and scrapped or torn. So obviously, she has to go through our security tapes with the management to find out the problem. So a bit of backstory before the next bit. The guy's boyfriend at the same time used to have my job. And back then, the cameras were positioned differently. When he left, my boss had moved them to eliminate blind spots, so the cameras were positioned differently. So when the big boss and the bigger boss opened up the tapes, they found this smart guy casually dropping large stacks of lottery tickets and then kicking them over to spots of the cashier area that used to be blind spots. Not only did he get caught doing this, but because of the exact positioning of where he thought the blind spot was, his boyfriend was charged too. Needless to say, he was fired immediately. Oh, and every ticket stolen is counted as a felony. Each ticket. Damn. A response reads, "Fuck yeah. Those tickets are state property. You don't buy it from the store sells it on behalf of the state and gets a commission. Don't fuck with lottery tickets. Don't fuck with mail." Holy crap. Number 28. Not me, but a buddy from college who was a fleet manager for a trucking company. The trucker comes into his office and says, "Whew, I barely made it. Went over my max hours and had to run a fake logbook to get here on time." Oh, you just say stuff like that out loud. He was like, "Dude, you're fucking fired." Okay, it happens. Guys are under pressure and they run a fake logbook from time to time. But don't walk into your boss's office and brag about it. He had to fire him. He had no choice. Wow. Someone responds, "I've worked for a few different trucking places. A lot of horrible bosses expect you to run a dirty logbook to get more miles in. Sad but true." The driver probably thought he was about to be praised for making it on time. Well, people typically only try what they believe they'll get away with. Number 27. Every year during the holiday season, I'd warn the new hires, listen, no matter how tempting it is, don't steal a customer's gift card. We can track it. I will track it and I will catch you. You will get fired. Every year, people try it. Every year. Sorry. Every year people try it. Every year people get fired. Don't do it. And they do it anyway. A response reads, "A lady I used to work for got fired for doing this." No, we used to work with. She'd swipe it to activate the gift card, charge the customer, then do a switcheroo to give the customer an empty. She was smart enough to go to a different store to use the gift cards, but she was stupid enough to ask for an employee discount, which required filling out a small card with the name and the employee number. You gotta be 10 times as stupid. You gotta be 10 types of motherfucking stupid. The manager that rang her through, only managers can ring through employees, noticed her huge stack of gift cards and got suspicious. So she called our store, which had been dealing with customers claiming their gift cards weren't working. Put 2 and 2 together, and she got fired. Well, this was one where the response was better than the actual the main number 27 here. So just switch those around. Do a good switcheroo. I'm gonna have to let number 27 go. Fire it, if you know what I mean. Ha ha ha. You're fired, Trump said to America. Oh my God. Number 26. Retail. Merch order was coming in. Asked him to perform a specific task related to the order. I went to follow up on a few other things. I come back, he is eating Cheetos, walking around the store. I asked him how he is doing with his task. Tells me he hasn't started it. I explain why it was important to do it at that moment. He curses me out in front of coworkers and customers. The general manager fired him the next day due to complaints about the incident. He was my best friend. He married and had a baby and all that jazz. I haven't heard from him since that day. Well, this is why you don't mix friendship and business, because a lot of people are fucking retarded. Yeah, he doesn't sound like a very good best friend. Yeah. Act right, dude. Act right in public. Put all that corny ass shit behind closed doors. You know, you want to be a female when, you know, you're not in public. Oh God, that sounds so rude. Emotional. Number 25. We hired a bunch of guys and sent them to the US on a contract. Told them all that the worksite policy was to do random drug testing. Told them all that the worksite policy was to do random drug testing so that they had to sign safety contracts in that regard. Only a few days into the contract, one of the workers had scored some meth and tested positive on a random test. He copped to the whole thing and was immediately sent back to Canada in disgrace. I don't know about disgrace. Somebody said, I have never read anything quite like that sentence. Number 24, man. My college town hamburger joint gets busy as fuck on the weekends. We had a 5-man crew on Saturday night. And about an hour and a half in the service, I noticed my fry boy taking a hell of a long time to bring back the frozen appetizers from the cooler. I leave Expo in a huff and stomp back to yell at him through open the walk-in door. This short Irish leprechaun-looking dumbass is getting his dick sucked by the new dish girl. The owner's friend's barely legal daughter. I fired him after the dinner rush. Edit. Well, this got big. No, she wasn't fired. The owner is a sexist turd. As for everyone saying I shouldn't have fired him, he was a fucking liability in the kitchen anyway. And I'm sorry, but you don't do sexy times at work, or if you do, everyone knows you do it in the management's office with a locking door. Man, whatever, man. Sluts. You fucking sluts. Did you at least let him finish? Oh yeah, were you a bro to this guy? I fired him after the work rush. Number 23. Ooh, I've got a few. Fell asleep on a ladder on the sales floor. Fell asleep during day 1 orientation training videos. Doing drugs in the bathroom. Getting into a shouting match with a customer right in front of the company president. Oh boy, Fortune 500 company. Shouting, I'm drunk as fuck right now, across the sales floor. Lots of stealing, not showing up, stuff like that. OP asks, how exactly does someone sleep on a ladder? Did they just sit on the top step and doze off? Was it at a steep enough angle to where they could just lay on it? Rolling ladder with a large enclosed platform on top. I could tell stories about that guy for days. He was a college kid and basically became a burnout the second he joined a frat. Well, that's what'll happen, you know? A lot of these frats are preparation for the societies that these white boys will join later in their lives. Or clubs, you know? They're prestigious clubs that they'll get into. Oh, number 25. This is 22. Man, am I having trouble seeing now? Number 22. Sex with underage employees, hitting another employee, getting arrested for drugs, selling drugs, animal abuse, putting freshwater goldfish into a saltwater fish tank. Oh, and telling me you can handle any animal, only to break down and cry when you have to feed a snake. You can't feed it a rat, no. Worked at a popular pet store chain. A word. A response reads, shit gets real at the pet store, damn. Shit gets real at the pet store, damn. Shit gets real at the pet store, damn. Somebody said, you have no idea. It's like a goddamn zoo in there. Fucking. Number 21. Managed a long-term care facility. Got a call one night from a resident telling me that the new nighttime manager was acting weird. This was about midnight and the shift started at 11. I called my lead. There were 3 people on duty and asked how the night was going. She told me that, yeah, Sally was sick. I put on my shoes and headed in. Now, having the administrator show up at almost 1 a.m. is never a good thing, so I'm pretty sure all 3 of them felt scared when I showed up. I took one look at Sally leaning against the wall and asked her to come into my office. I asked her if she had been drinking. I never drink at work, she slurred at me. I told her I had to have her blow into this tube. We had breathalyzer tubes that registered if they were over a specific level. The crystals changed from clear to dark blue if the alcohol registered over the legal limit. No surprise, it turned dark blue. I asked her again if she had been drinking. She admitted to having been drinking earlier in the evening. She and her friend had been doing shots up until about 10 p.m. But I'm not drunk. I stopped and ate almost 2 hours ago, so it's all out of my system. Nope, doesn't work that way. Sorry, Sally, but I need to let you go. Call someone to come get you. I told her as I was filling out paperwork for the breathalyzer usage and final check request. Oh, that's okay, I drove in. Nope. She then asked what time she could come in tomorrow. Sally, you no longer work here. Coming to work intoxicated is not tolerated. Oh, really? Yes, really. Please call someone who has not been drinking to come get you. She called about 16 hours later asking me for next week's schedule. She didn't remember being at work and getting fired. Alcohol, ladies and gentlemen. So you had to fire her 3 times. Come on, Sally. Get it together, says a responder. Number 20. Not me, but a friend of mine had to fire a sales clerk because she stole computer dusters from the office and left the sales floor during her shift to hide in the supply closet and get high with it. She was getting high with the computer dusters. Don't do inhalants, kids. That really does fuck up your brain, guys. There's an episode of Intervention with a girl addicted to huffing computer dusters. I've never seen anything like it. I'm walking on sunshine. That's fucked up. You guys are crazy. Number 19. We kept finding stock discrepancies. We couldn't figure out while what was happening. The count on certain items was just out. System said we had stuff that wasn't on the shelf. Eventually found out that when a customer bought something with cash, later that same day, the same cashier would refund the transaction for the cash with no customer around. They were fired on the spot, but couldn't be charged criminally because the way the camera sat, they'd been able to block the view of the cash drawer with their body, and you couldn't actually see them take the money out of the till. Even though we knew exactly when the false transactions were posted, footage placed them right there during something, and intentionally blocking the view at the same time. There's only one way everything added up, but they still got away with it. If they'd been pulling cash out, we would have caught it right away, but the counts were never out there because there was a transaction in the system, so they'd been doing this occasionally for a couple months. We figured they'd gotten away with a couple grand. Return procedures changed after that. Well, they got away with it in a way, but they lost their job. Number 18. Guy hired to manage a store in a mall refused to park in the employee parking. Why? Because you can park closer, I would imagine. As I'm sure everyone knows, mall employees have designated parking spaces far from the choice spots near the mall entrances. This guy refused to park there, and every time he parked illegally, the store got fined $100, and he parked in the customer parking every damn day. He was called out on it. The policy was explained over and over. He got written up. He was told that on the next infraction he would be fired, and he did it the very next day. I was totally blindsided when we actually fired him. What, you're serious? It was a day later, dude. Somebody says in response to was blindsided when we fired him. This is actually what absolutely boggles my mind. I've dealt with this so many times, mainly with tardiness. How do you guys just keep fucking up when somebody specifically addresses you about this specific way you fucking up, you know? Number 17. Offered a job candidate but had to step out of the office to grab some paperwork. Came back and a bus pass that was on the desk was missing. Newly hired employee stole it. I asked him to return it because a previous candidate dropped it, and he said he needed it more than they did and walked out. Oh. Okay. Number 16. My manager had to fire someone for doing cocaine in the toilets and then trying to gouge his own eyes out. I guess that's what working at a call center can do sometimes. OP says call center worker here. Can confirm, although I haven't needed cocaine just yet. Well, another responder says, call center worker here. Fuck, I'm sorry. Several years ago, I took a call center job to bring in some extra income. Once my training was done and I hit the floor, I lasted about 2 months before I straight up had a breakdown while getting ready for work. After I quit, everyone said that was for the best, that I looked miserable all the time. I wonder if I should get a job at a call center. Yeah. Number 15. Hired a girl to work in a bagel store who, on her first day, told me she couldn't touch any of the meats because she was vegan. Okay. Had another guy show up for work, and his first day was doing just fine, seemed to be good with the job. I went to the office to get some paperwork for him to fill out, and then he was just gone. He never came back. He didn't steal anything. There was no explanation at all. He just left. Wow. The bad one was I had to fire a girl for not showing up for several days in a row. Saw in a newspaper the next week that she had been in jail the whole time because she had locked her kids in a closet while she was buying some coke. Uh-oh. Give me that coke, baby. Somebody responds, vegan girl reminds me of some Muslim folks in my area that made the news because they were cashiers and refused to ring up bacon or alcohol because they didn't want to touch it. That just makes you shake your head sometimes, man. Some guy's like, as a Muslim, I have to apologize for the way those people behaved. Our religion should never get in the way of our duties at workplaces. Wow, it was actually gilded. This is a good comment. Somebody said, no, you don't, dude. You're only responsible for you. Aww. Ding, 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 ding. So wholesome. Number 14, two new employees got into a physical altercation because one claimed the other wasn't hood enough. Where the hood at? You better step up, nigga. It was two females, and this is an office job. Absolutely ridiculous. You know they was in the office, and she was like, you better suck my dick, bitch. Boom, where the hood, where the burn, burn. Sorry. The responses read, LOL. Reminds me of an incident at my office. Two girls got into it during initial training because one accused the other of stealing her highlighter and being a ghetto hoe bag. Fist fights break out. Manager separates them and ended up suspended them without pay for 3 days. One never came back and the other quit a week later. You can take the hoe bag out of the ghetto, but you can't take the ghetto out of the hoe bag. Where the ghetto and the hoe in the bag at? I love ending sentences with prepositions. Bam, bam. Anyway, I should really work at a call center if this kind of shit gonna be popping off in the training. Number 13. Had a server drink out of the customer's Dr. Pepper and Coke to see which one was which in front of them. I don't know, man. You gotta be a specific type of inept. Which one's the Dr. Pepper? Which one's the Coke? Give me a second here. This has got to be that's got to be like the chair. Maybe hold on, try. Maybe the analogy's better if it's a man. I'm not sure. Maybe I try the. Why am I doing this? Number 12. Back in my days working at a used car dealership, we had a teen. Okay, you want to read this like you're not drunk? Oh. You guys gotta forgive me, man. I'm so out of it. Number 12. Back in my days working at a used car dealership, we had a teen come in and test drive a 1,500-mile Corvette. Today's equivalent would be the ZR1. Anyway, the kid drives it around our set loop once and is being a little waffly on it. And he's being a little waffly on if he wants to get it or not. He says it doesn't really drive as well as he thought it would. My salesman told him it was user error and he'd prove it to him. They went on for another lap around with the employee driving it, and he managed to get pulled over during 135 in a school zone. Got arrested, if I recall correctly. Needless to say, he was not welcome back at our store. However, the teen did buy the car. Well, that's your salesman right there. He did his job, brah. It's not his fault that the kids getting in the way of me driving fast. They dumb little asses trying to not get hit by a car tonight. Just kidding, man. School zones exist for a reason. Why does your loop encompass a school zone is the real question, you know? If you're a salesman, you got like I want to say an area that you have designated to take cars and test drives around. Why is a school zone a part of it? So yeah, big fault on the employee's job, but boy did he make that sale. And that's all that they got going on. Oh boy. Number 11. New guy, around 20 years old or so, called in sick saying he thinks he had a stroke. Since he lived across the street from the store where we worked, we all then stood and watched through the store's glass door as he packed up his truck with beach gear and drove off with his girlfriend. He was fired the next. Oh, that's just like a cartoon scene. I think I had a stroke. And then like you hear like steel drum playing, ding, 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 ding. And they're packing up like, beach ball, a volleyball net, because they're bringing their own one, attaching a wave runner to the back of. Come on, man. Wow. What a scene. I just like to think of everybody like watching through the storefront window. Reply says 20-year-old and he thinks he's the most believable because I'm having a stroke. The most believable excuse is I'm having a stroke right now. Dang it. Does that sound good? Sounds good. Google a YouTube video. What does having a stroke sound like? Just say you're having one right now, bro. They'll let you off. You're having a stroke. It comes and goes. It comes and goes. Number 10, forging a tip on a receipt, like adding $20 wasn't going to get caught. Wow. A response here reads, one day at an old job, we got a call from a customer complaining that her credit card statement didn't match her receipt. It was $5 over. We got another call later that day saying the same thing later. A dude walked in to complain, same thing. 2 more people came in later. The waiter had added $5 to each of their tips. They were all at the same table. Idiot. He was fired on the spot, rightfully, and the customers got hella gift certificates. A response here reads, he was going to quit anyways, but those were probably his friends. What an interesting little con that would have been if it were the case. Damn. Number 9. I knew someone at Subway who did not get fired for going to the washroom and taking off his pants and underwear. He was making sandwiches wearing only an apron and shirt. The manager laughed at him. I think the entire store must have been on drugs. Subway, eat pubes. Oh my god. Look guys, this is kind of gross. Okay, listen. We're finishing this. Number 8. Not me, but my boss had to fire a lady in our office because she lost her marbles when someone ate her bagel from the fridge. She literally had a tantrum like a toddler. Also, the girl who ate it by mistake. She thought it was a bagel from the office breakfast we had earlier the same morning. It wasn't the same packaging as the office stuff. Now, I absolutely hate it when people eat my lunch, but the girl who ate the bagel profusely apologized, even stated that she would go and buy her a new one right there on the spot, but the tantrum lady couldn't let it go, so that ended up being her last night. Ooh. My sandwich? That's a reference I don't get. It was so big I had to throw most of it away. It's a Friends reference. Okay. I'm sorry, guys, for figuring out that it was a reference, you know. Number 7. This actually happened at my current place. We had a secretary. We were all curious as what she really did during the day, since it seemed like nothing got done. I ended up giving her lists to complete, but she would throw them in the trash. I got fed up and looked at her computer at the end of the day, which was probably shitty on my part. Found out that she was prostituting herself with her company email. Oh, was she using a company email as a back page? Groove is in the house. So you know that he might probably met her off duty. Damn it, Pam. Number 6. I had an employee lock another employee in the closet one time. The person that was trapped called the police from inside the closet. It was quite an HR nightmare. Someone responds, "Oh, I bet. We had an employee get taped to a chair and left in the back room. Couldn't reach his phone, but Siri dialed 911 for him. Police showed up. Owner was pissed. They find him and untape him. Employees who did it were fired on the spot. One was arrested. And the tape guy was up in HR for 4+ hours before they settled on enough money to make him shut up. It was an insane day. An insane day. I hope something like this would happen to me. Give me some of that money. I'll shut it up for some of that money. Number 5. During my first real developer job, the company I was working for tried to implement a bunch of things to improve efficiency and employee satisfaction. 2 interesting programs they implemented were work from home and agile development, along with the requisite bullpens, shared team areas. What this basically meant is that we only had to show up in the office for core hours, 4 hours out of 3 days a week. And the rest of the time we could work in the shared areas, restaurants, parks, homes, you name it. Sometimes, if you couldn't be there for core hours, you would just dial in. We were young and excited and dedicated, so the core team really got a lot of good work done with this model. About 2 weeks after we started, our Scrum Master casually mentions, "Has anyone seen Phil?" Phil was a quiet guy, and he was still answering emails and instant message. So it took us a while to agree that no one had actually seen him in a long time. She called him from the speakerphone in the bullpen. And as God is my witness, here is the call that took place. Boss: "Hey Phil, what's up?" Phil: "Hey boss, not much. What's up with you?" Boss: "Hey, we were noticing we hadn't seen you much lately. You ever coming back in for core hours?" Phil: "Probably not." Boss: "Oh, why is that?" Phil: "Because I moved to Idaho." Boss: But Phil, we're in DC. Phil: "I know." Boss: "Why didn't you tell us you wanted to move to Idaho?" Phil: "Oh, because I knew you wouldn't let me." Well, Phil got fired. Fired as shit. Not for moving, but for the whole "because I knew you wouldn't let me" thing. Management felt it was an integrity issue. Okay. Number 4. I was an assistant manager at a restaurant for a while, and one of the newer bussers had called in 3 times in his first 2 weeks. Come on now. He called in on a Saturday telling me he was deathly sick and couldn't even get out of bed. Around 9 p.m. after the dinner rush, one of my servers asked me to check on table 42. I turned the corner and there is the sick busser, stoned out of his mind with 2 buddies eating. You go to the restaurant that you work at that you called out of to eat? A marijuana. A marijuana. It doesn't make you stupid though, so he was just stupid. He was stupid and he got high. Like, come on now. Marijuana does not reinforce stupid. Every day at lunch, she would drink roughly half of her Jimmy John's soda, then take it with her to the bathroom, fill it back up with whiskey, and she did a pretty good job of covering up the smell, and since she did it from day 1, it wasn't immediately obvious that she was getting drunk. Found out on day 4 when she knocked her full cup over, and we all got punched with the smell of booze in the afternoon. Back in the street where we begin, feeling as good as drinkers can, and you know, 'cause it's booze in the afternoon. Your eyes are glazed over and shit. Functioning alcoholics are amazing. Sometimes they're pretty easy to spot, but sometimes they keep it together sufficiently. Well, right? Yeah, that's what this person means. How you gonna leave words out? Anyway, functioning alcoholics are amazing. Sometimes they're pretty easy to spot, but sometimes they keep it together sufficiently so well that it requires a significant fuck up on their part to get caught. Alternatively, it could read, sometimes they're pretty easy to spot, but sometimes they keep it together sufficiently well enough that it requires a significant fuck up on their part to get caught. To be honest, I don't like the word sufficiently in there, you know? I think, but sometimes they keep it together well enough, or keep it together so well that it requires significant fuck up on their part to get caught. I mean, why is it sufficiently in there, man? You know, I get what you're trying to say, you punk bitch. Someone responds, I knew a lady that was so good, no one she even drank until she died of liver failure. No one knew she drank. Wow. Her husband found alcohol everywhere after her death. That's so sad. It is sad. Number 2. I had an employee apologize to 2 different tables for forgetting to put their food order in. They had been waiting like 45 minutes and nothing had been entered into the system. We looked at the camera system because he had been acting weird all day after he wrote down their order. He proceeded to go outside and fire up a joint. He was apparently too high to remember to put the order in. It was his first and last day. Somebody said, you probably shouldn't have hired a towel. You're a towel. You guys want to get high? Number 1. I didn't personally fire this person, but I was a manager on duty at a restaurant I work at. Okay. A newish server was dealing with a complaint a customer had with their BLT. Rather than having me talk to the table, he took a bite out of it and said, I'm not seeing the problem. I think it was my delivery that made it a little bit stupid. So once again, in case you might not have been paying attention, you know, a customer complained about their BLT, you know, like their sandwich, and then rather than having the manager walk out and talk to the table, the guy took a bite out of the sandwich and then says, I'm not seeing a problem. Sorry. Response reads, that magnificent bastard. To be honest, that kind of attitude could net him a high-paying managerial position at some restaurants. Yeah, that's some confidence right there. I'm not seeing a problem. Oh, guys, you guys take it easy, man. I am having trouble functioning, and I apologize. But I love you, and I'll see you soon.